Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of What's the Move. Today, I'm very excited to be joined by Dvck, who is a high legend player out of Denmark, who reached out to me via Reddit, actually, to share a really cool play that he had on his stream the other day. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thanks so much for coming on the show. I'm always so excited to have pro players on to get new perspectives and
Well, thanks
all
for
sorts
having
of cool
me.
lines. Yeah, it's my pleasure. So why don't we just jump right into the play? Let's try to set up that situation that you found yourself in on the ladder the other day.
Definitely. All right, so I started out as playing a combo Dragon Priest against an aggro Paladin, or a Murloc Paladin rather. On my turn 2, I played another Spite into a Cabal Talent Priest, which he cleared immediately by coining out the Murloc Wall Leader on turn 2, following out with a Collide Seer. And then on his turn 4, he played a Righteous Protector into a Rallying Blade. On my turn 4, I played a Twilight Drake, which is the only minion I have left on the board at this moment. He decides not to kill a Twilight Drake, which leaves me with a 4/5 body into my turn 5, where I start off finding a Power Word Shield. Looking at my hand, I can tell obviously that no matter how I spend my mana this turn, I'm gonna have to spend the Power Word Shield, so I immediately use the Power Word Shield and I get a Master Spell off the top.
Now the question becomes, how do you spend the last 4 mana this turn? So, what's the move?
Quickly. I wonder.
It looks like you opt to go for the more aggressive line here. You go the Divine Spirit into the Inner Fire, and then Potion of Madness, hitting the face with everything, putting your opponent down to 14 and setting up a lethal next turn. What do you think most players would have done in this situation? Do you think that this was more of a mass dispel turn for the majority of players out there? Or do you think that this line is defensible, I guess, in the majority of cases, even though it's a bit riskier?
I do not think a lot of people would have gone with this specific line. I think more people would have gone for a more defensive line where they start killing off the opponent's minions with either the Potion of Madness or the Master Spell and then start trading with his minions. I do not think that is a bad line. That was my initial thought as well. But seeing how my hand is looking, I did not have a lot going for me in terms of being able to consecutively clear off his minions. I pretty much only have this Twilight Drake, and once he finds an answer for that, I'm left with pretty much nothing, which means I will have to keep getting these lucky top decks in many turns to come.
So even though your role in this matchup is pretty clearly to be the defensive player, just the tools that you have in your hand right now, outside of that Master Spell, really lends you to be more of the combo player, given the context of this specific situation. So I think I agree with you. It was very smart to kind of pivot your role based on the context of this specific game and your specific hand, and not get married to this idea that, oh, I'm the defensive player in this matchup, so I always need to be making defensive moves. So that's why I really like this line in particular, because it demonstrates a clear situation where you can deviate from what the normal strategy is based on the context of your specific game. However, it does need to be said that you are taking some risks by going with this line. What are the biggest risks that you're taking on? Like, what cards are you specifically worried about?
There definitely is a lot of cards that could really follow my plans here. For instance, he could have lethal here had he gotten the Gentle Megasaur into +3 attack, or Wind Fury that would have been lethal. Also, there's the Spellbreaker, which could silence my Drake and remove it from the board, and I wouldn't have nothing left. However, it had just been his turn 4, and he spent his turn playing the Righteous Protector and the Rallying Blade. So I kind of made the read here that he did not have any of these cards. And even if he were to have these cards, no matter the play that I made, these two cards would have probably lost me the game no matter what line I took. It is leading into his turn 5, and he's already used a coin. So there is no chance for him to play a Sunkeeper Tarim, for instance. However, if he does not have one of these two cards, which I believe he would have played, I simply just win the game. So I think it was definitely worth taking the risk here.
Yeah, and having that Master Spell being drawn immediately really gives you the confidence that no matter what he plays, you'll be able to blast with the taunt minions to deal that final 14 points of damage. Again, so long as he doesn't kill you or Spellbreaker it or play a Leroy in his deck, which is not very common in these aggro Murloc Paladin lists at the moment. So I think it was fair to push that card aside in your considerations. Something else that I really liked about this play in particular is that it shows the importance of counting precise and exact amounts of damage. You were able to assemble exact lethal from 30 here by having 14 points of damage from the Twilight Drake twice for 28, and then 2 points of damage once from the Righteous Protector. This is a great lesson to all you combo priest or really any kind of combo deck players out there, which is that finding exact lethal is something that really has to be done in a lot of situations a few turns in advance, and also requires a really kind of advanced or at least familiar knowledge with the decks that you'll be playing against on the other side of the table to let you know what kind of cards might be able to interrupt those plans, as well as which kind of cards might be able to kill you if you are in fact trying to go for these more aggressive lines where you're committing your mana towards playing to the board and playing to kill your opponent instead of trying to clear their minions away and be that defensive player that we talked about, that you, I guess, would ideally like to hope to be in this matchup with a different set of cards in your opening hand. So I think that just about does it for this episode. Is there anything you wanted to shout out before I let you go?
I do stream on Twitch, so if you want to come watch me on Twitch, you are more than welcome. I'd be happy to have you. My Twitch handle is Dvck_HS, and I hope to see you there.
Perfect. Well, thanks again for coming, and we'll see you all next week.